Morning, dear hearts. We are on lesson 92, and please subscribe. So today's lesson is an obvious continuation from yesterday's lesson, and today's lesson is miracles are seen in light, and light and strength are one. We really did speak of this a little bit yesterday, but this goes into greater detail. And this lesson is really giving us a comparison between the light of the ego, which is really darkness. Think about that. And God's light, which is a constant, forever light that needs no exterior source. The light of the ego is compared to, the sun, S-U-N, because it might rise and shine for a while, but it will always disappear and take us into darkness. And of course, that's exactly what the ego does. And the light here is the ego light, not as compared to God's light, which is true. Now, you might remember that we had two lessons back way a long time ago at this point, it seems, lessons 45 and 44 and 45, that God is the light in which I see, and God is the mind with which I think. Those are the two things that are real and true. And so this lesson, in very many ways, is coming back to those previous lessons and just expanding on it. The strength, real strength that we have comes from God. Light signifies strength. Darkness signifies weakness. So it is God's strength that we want and that we find within His light, and that comes from His mind. And that is the true mind with which we think. If we are thinking apart from the mind of God, we are not really thinking at all. We are making things up, make believe. We make it and believe it, but none of it is real. This lesson also, perhaps a little insulting to those of us who wear pieces of glass in front of our eyes, that it says that, we think that if we put these things in front of our eyes, that we will see. But it's not really seeing, because anytime we are using the senses of the body, they come from the ego, and it's not true seeing. From the body, from the ego, and they are synonymous, what I will see with the body's eyes, if I am being guided by the ego and I'm really in darkness, I will only see what is in common and alike to what the ego is. So there's this wonderful litany that to behold the likeness of itself, that's what the ego does, and we will see the small, the weak, the sickly, and the dying, those in need and helpless and afraid, the sad, the poor, the starving, and the joyless, because all of those are the characteristics of what the ego wants to show us. But light and strength are one. So from the light of God, which is an unending source, doesn't need to be plugged in the wall again. It is a constant strength and a constant light. It doesn't rise in the morning and go down in the evening and leave us in darkness. This light will never, ever go away. We are always able to bask in the light of God and to keep that light within our mind so that I will be thinking in alignment with God's thoughts. The lesson does this wonderful comparison of what weakness is and what strength is, and that weakness is in darkness. We always just associate anything that is dark with what is weak. What is filled with light has strength, and that strength is of God. It's constant and it's pure, and it is, as the lesson says, the light of strength is constant, sure as love, forever glad to give itself away, because it cannot give but to itself. And here we have again the law of giving and receiving. Yes, that is one of God's laws. Whatever we give, we will indeed receive back. The practicing is 20 minutes twice a day, and of course, as often during the course of your day as possible, to say that miracles are seen in light and strength are one. Now, there is a distinction made between the brain and the mind. The brain is of the ego. It was made when the body was made. When I did this lesson a couple years ago, because I didn't record it last year, I gave the metaphor, I guess, or the story, perhaps this time, of the Wizard of Oz and how the scarecrow wanted a brain. And he traveled with his companions going to the great wizard in order to have a brain. But throughout the story, as his actions were always that for the oneness of everyone, to the benefit of all of his traveling companions, even to the point of having himself set on fire for protection, he demonstrated that there was a mind of oneness within him. So there's a distinction between wanting a brain but having a mind, and he already had a mind. Then the wizard gave him, I think it was a diploma, and all of a sudden he was able to spout out all of these amazing mathematical or scientific equations. But that was a brain. He had a mind. He was already demonstrating how a true mind filled with light works and how much strength it has, because it is only for the benefit of the oneness of the entire sonship, or in his case, the Tin Man and Dorothy and Toto and the Cowardly Lion. So that's it for today. I hope this helped. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment. Please be here tomorrow. And of course, we continue with our prayers for peace, and all prayers are always answered. So that's it. Namaste.